Russian assault fails as Ukrainian mines scatter Pokrovsk road attack. Today, in the open fields southeast of Pokrovsk, Russian forces are desperate to push Ukrainians back and salvage what little is left of their logistics. However, as specialized Ukrainian equipment prevents Russians from even launching their assaults, Russian wrecks and bodies are quickly piling up, leading to another disaster for the Russian army. The goal of the Russian forces is to advance north of their positions in Nadiivka across open fields to consolidate positions along the Solona River. This is because the Russian bridgehead on the western flank of Pokrovsk is too narrow, allowing the Ukrainians to constantly strike their logistics and forcing them to cancel their operational goals. By advancing to the Solona River and expanding their control here, the Russians hope to facilitate a larger crossing and a wider pincer maneuver, hoping this will ease their logistical challenges if they have less of a choke point for Ukrainians to target. The first attempts to expand their control here in the direction of Nadiivka proved to be complete failures, as Russian corpses litter the approaches, so Russians doubled down on their efforts from the south. Here, Russian supply lines are not as exposed and in a fire pocket as in the western pincer, meaning that Russians can employ armored vehicles without them being intercepted by Ukrainian drone and artillery fire along the way. Geolocated combat footage from the area reveals how the Russian armored units struggled to continue their attacks due to landmines. BMP infantry fighting vehicles, poorly armored against anything beyond small arms fire, were obliterated by landmines that detonated their internal ammunition, killing all aboard. Russian tanks, though were resilient, were eventually disabled by multiple mine blasts, forcing crews to abandon them, only for the tanks and the crew to be finished off by Ukrainian FPV drones. After these assaults, the Ukrainians sought to prevent more Russian units from coming their way, knowing that they would eventually try to advance by overwhelming the Ukrainians with sheer numbers through heaps of destroyed metal and blood. To prevent the Russians from being able to even launch their assaults, Ukrainians decided to scatter landmines in the Russian rear to prevent them from initiating any new assault. The Russians heavily rely on the town of Solona for logistical support, where they station all of their tanks, armored vehicles, soldiers, and ammunition. The Russian frontline positions are connected to it by one asphalt road, leaving it as the only route for their logistical support to deploy their forces. Unfortunately for Russians, this made it the best place for the Ukrainians to scatter their landmines to prevent Russians from launching their assaults.